everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this video from. My name is Ifeoluwa Ogunjobi. I'm the host for Conversations with Ife Talks, and I'm super excited to be here again. Last week we talked about anger, and in my head, I felt like, not looking what that video, it didn't really hit so many, the traction wasn't so high and all that. But guess what? As I was preparing for today's video, that was yesterday, someone reached out to me and said, I have a question as regards this your video. And I'm like, okay, so somebody watched the video and you have a question. And then he said, I would like you to please state specifically how to manage anger. That he watched the last video, but he needs bullet points as to answer how exactly do you manage anger, especially for someone who gets angry easily. And I was really excited. So I paused on my normal, review, trying to process what we'll talk about today. And I'm like, okay, let's use today session to answer the question, and we'll go back to our normal gist next week. So how do you manage anger? Remember I said last week that everybody gets angry. It's an emotion, right? Yes, you can control it, but you can't control what people do. So people would upset you, people would annoy you, people will vex you, you will get angry. But what you do when you're angry is what is most important, right? So, and I think it's also very important for us to understand the reasons why people get angry easily. I'm not now talking about just getting angry because everybody gets angry, but why do people get angry easily? So it's very important that we talk about that. Number one, some of the things why people get angry very easily, I would say, is lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a very big topic, and maybe one day I'll do a conversation on it, right? But emotional intelligence is your ability to manage your own emotions and the emotions of other people. So you have the ability to give excuses for people's excesses, for people's actions, so you're not easily angered. So it's somebody who is always talking anyhow, who is always acting anyhow, is always upset. You have the ability to say, why is this person always angry every time? And then you can give an, oh, I think it's because she's going through this, she's going through that. And that is not an excuse for that person to continue that bad way. But because you are emotionally intelligent, you are able to give an excuse for the person's everyday outburst, right? So lack of emotional intelligence is one. Excessive alcohol intake is another. Stress, very important. We don't even talk about this enough. When we're younger, my mom, when she wakes up in the morning, doing house chores and all that, she's sweeping, she's mopping, she's trying to do everything, she's always angry. Mommy, why are you always angry now? What she's working, don't talk to me. But when I became a wife, when I also became a mother, I understood. When you wake up, especially when there's nobody in the house to support, and you're the one trying to do this, you're sweeping, as you're trying to cook, you're trying to clean the baby's bubble, you're doing this, then at that point, someone else will say stuff, you're stressed, you will just be snappy. So then I understood that, oh, stress really is a trigger for someone to get easily angry. So stress is also very important. Lack of coping mechanisms is also very important. Childhood trauma is also very important. You might feel like, oh, I've passed that stage, that thing that happened to me as I've outgrown it. But if those things come up at some point, you just realize that this thing is still triggering me. Why am I still always angry, right? Childhood trauma is very, very important. Another thing is depression. Depression is so, so important. You realize that people who are depressed have a very high possibility of getting angered. This one I'm about to say, very important. I'll end it here. Financial issues, money. When you are broke, when you're going through a lot of financial issues, you realize that you can be getting angry very, very easily. So I'll quickly jump to how we can manage it. The first thing I'll say is that believe that you can work on yourself. Believe that you can manage your emotions, because all of us, we actually do have the capacity and ability to manage our emotions. Believe that you can be a person who is in charge of their emotions. If you need to confess it, if you need to talk about it, if you need to recite something just to help you to know that I can manage my emotions, believe it. It's so important, because that's number one. If you don't believe it, nothing I'm going to say can work. Now, if your anger is the excessive one, based on you are just sometimes therapy, I know we don't like to hear this a lot, but therapy is very, very important, right? Sometimes you might need to talk to people to help you. You might need to open up. You might need to be vulnerable and all that. Therapy, very, 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 very important. I mentioned prayer in my last video. Prayer, you can never overlook it. Now, let's talk about some practical things. When someone upsets you, breathe in and out, because sometimes just breathe. You don't know what it can do. Try it, practice it. breathing in and out, so good, because that time that you're taking to breathe in and out, you are processing a lot of things, and then you can manage what you will say. Another thing is you don't need to speak as you are upset. Sometimes I tell my husband that, you know what, I'm angry. Please just allow me. Just give me some time. We'll talk about this later. Because I know that if I open this mouth to speak, the thing that will come out cannot be okay. So just give me some time. Let me speak. So you don't always have to speak at that time when you're upset. It's good to talk about it, but it's also good to just take some time. Listening to music is so good. It works for me. I love to listen to music a lot. Just when I plug my ears and listen to music, by the time I come back to visit that issue, I feel better. So that's also a very important point. And also, finally for me, I would say it's good to always detach your emotions from situations. For example, if somebody does something consistently to upset you, first of all, if you cannot avoid that person, right, you now realize that this person, this is the way you are, so that you will not be getting angry every time. Remove your emotions from that situation. So if the person does it again, they cannot upset you. I say to people that be selfish about your emotions, be selfish about your heart, be selfish about how you allow people come in, because you can't allow people with negative energy, negativity be affecting you every time, your mental health. And sometimes you need to detach for some people. Maybe it's the things that you want, things that trigger you. If it's human beings that trigger, if you can avoid them, avoid them. It's so important, right? So detach your emotions from those things. I hope that this has helped. I hope that you've gotten one or two things where you can, how you can manage your anger, how you can manage your emotions, and just be a better human being. If you have any more questions, please drop in the comment box. Thank you, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.